Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. Our session was about how to start a chapter, and I think the one thing that's super telling just from our dialogues with the three different sessions we had was the diversity in countries across EMEA. When we started today, one of the things that we opened with was leaving these 2 days with an action item. And I hope that the attendees in our session feel motivated and they have, or they're enabled to go start an open and out chapter if you haven't already considered that, or if it's not in your country or site location today. As an ERG enterprise, we developed at the beginning of the year a standardized process to go about starting a chapter. And we set out 4 different steps. The first step is around just making that decision to lead, or taking that decision, or making that decision to lead. And then the second piece is around securing the executive sponsorship and site sponsorship of your efforts. And then our third step is around building programming and marketing to secure membership. And then lastly, we then are able to recognize the group as an official chapter of Open and Out. So we talked through the process in our group session, and we had 4 different topics that came up in the conversations. The first was around in-country support. And so we mentioned our partnership with Ernst & Young. And so for those that are either working at sites where we have O&O chapters or you're interested in starting them, Ernst & Young is extremely involved in the different business functions of Johnson & Johnson. And what we've done is we've partnered with them to identify other LGBT ERGs that are in close proximity to our J&J sites, so that you have the ability to leverage the expanded network of LGBT colleagues. The one thing that we spoke about too, aside from leveraging our partnership with EY, is actually working directly with in-country national-based advocacy groups around LGBT, because these groups are the groups that know the people, the employees, and the policies within the country that are so important as you start to think about a journey of starting a chapter. And just speaking on some of the work that our colleagues in the across the globe have led. So Germany, the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, and Japan have all leveraged, that I know of, there might be other countries, but they've all leveraged those national advocacy groups to not only secure information, but resources that have helped them really get off the ground and build the level of support that's necessary, not only within J&J, but when we think about externally, how we position our company, those groups can really help to do that. The other thing we spoke about was setting up a chapter, and do we look at this via site versus country? And we don't have one recommendation for this because it's not a one-size-fits-all. We know that every country is different from people, safety, et cetera. And so what we've recommended or seen as a best practice is the countries that have treated it like an overall O&O structure leadership team with an in-country sponsor. And then if the country has 2 sites or 3 sites or 5 sites, bringing all those sites together and identifying leaders, both chapter leaders and executive sponsors at the site level, have been really, really effective in helping expand our message at a much bigger scale than focusing solely on one of our sites within the country. The other thing we spoke about was, what about colleagues with no office that work in the field? And also on this same topic about safety in a country where it might not be safe. And what we've done this year in Open and Out is we've established virtual networks within North America. We knew that there was a bigger opportunity to connect with our pharma colleagues in the field. And so we were able to develop a virtual network of employees and also of sponsors across each of our therapeutic areas, so that those employees felt like they belong. And then we also developed a virtual network within EMEA and within Asia Pacific. And they've been extremely helpful for those colleagues that either do not have a site where they sit today, or they work in a place where, or a country that it's still not safe to be out in the workplace. And that, I think, has a lot to do with our last topic, was just about sites being maybe more conservative, or there wasn't a strong level of understanding of D&I. And one of the things that we said, a way to overcome this is to continue to work with leadership at that campus and also local HR partners and ODI, which is Office of Diversity and Inclusion. So Krista has been a tremendous advocate for colleagues across the region, and continuing to leverage those resources that we have available are really, really helpful in kind of getting started as an ERG at your specific site. So I'm just, honestly, for someone that leads membership and chapter engagement, I'm thrilled to see this list of countries and the opportunity that we have in the region to continue to expand, to touch more people. And we know that as we touch more of our colleagues' lives, we continue to touch more patients and consumer lives in what we do. So thank you so much. And I will pass it over to Danny or his representative to talk about his session.
I didn't follow the rules, I'm sorry. I didn't have a representative. So mine's very brief, less than a minute. We had a lot of great conversations. I look forward to continuing those conversations with those folks tomorrow. In my session, if you'd like to come, please feel free to. We'll have more transparent, maybe get you on your feet a little bit more. Let me see you in action as opposed to just me talking. But thank you very much for the really, really, really transparent dialogue that we had in our breakout sessions. There was a lot of insights from a lot of different individuals that were rather personal, that I don't feel is my right to share up here. So if you want to share what you said in my session with your colleagues, please feel free to do so. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Thanks again for having me.
Thank you so much, Danny. So we're coming to the almost last part of the day today, and I ask Heather to come up on stage to introduce us to the panel and lead that one.
Hi everyone. To round up all the fantastic content we've had today, we're going to have ourselves an anonymous Q&A. So people on the WebEx and people on Yammer, as well as all of yourselves, are invited to post the questions that you're not really quite sure how to phrase, or maybe you think it's a really stupid question like, what does this actually stand for? And anything else that has prompted in your thinking over the course of the day. Please open up the link to the left that you see on the board here, the password below, and submit any of your questions to Pigeonhole. I see we've already got quite a few. If IT is willing to put the questions up behind me, please. And in order to help answer these questions, I'd like to welcome our wonderful panel. So we are very lucky to have 5 people here today. We are going to have Bentley, if you'd like to join me up on stage, please. We're also going to have Jenna, Jean, Lucy, and Anna. So if you come up and join me on stage, please.